This morning, the city is continuing with its free fall as the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, is already labeling it a crisis, claiming it has left their businesses in the mess. The Forex Bureaus across the country are exchanging $1 for as much as 14 cedis 80 pesos. The business community, including GUTA and importers, are raising alarm, calling on the central bank to intervene. Listen to the lead at the Business and Economic Bureau of GUTA, Charles Apiakubi, who says they have no choice than to pass the cost to the consumer.
You see, when you live in a slave environment, you always want to find a blame of your woes. Over the period when forests are going high, government upon government tends to blame the local businesses that we are doing more importations. But the fact and the reality is that that is not the case.
But you are doing more importation, are you not?
80% of importation in Ghana is controlled by foreign companies, and that is a fact. So how could you blame the local businesses that because you are doing more importation, that is why forex is going high? When you set trade policies that favors foreign companies in terms of FDIs, and there's a need for them to do more importations, who suffers? It's the reserves of this country, foreign reserve, that suffers. Let me take you to GIPC Law 2013 Act 865. That stipulates the equity registration that a solely foreign company that want to establish in Ghana must bring. That's $1 million. And the equity registration hearing, we are looking at PPEs, properties, plant, and equipment. So you could find a foreign company meeting this 1 million, but real cash might not be 1 million. And when they have to do importation, and you look at their import value level, it's about 10 million. The 9 million difference, where did they get it from?
So, I mean, coming back to the depreciation, though, and from the statement that you put out today, how are you dealing with it? Are you passing it on to consumers?
Of course. As businesses, we have a limit that we can absorb certain costs. And at this point, we've gone beyond the roofs, and we cannot absorb any other extra costs than to pass it on to the consumer.
Well, I've been joined by Samson Awingobate, who is the Executive Director of the Importers and Exporters Association. Grateful for your time, Samson. What's your own story with regards to the continued depreciation of the cedi?
Pleasure is mine. Good morning and good. I strongly believe that, as a matter of fact, it should be a concern not just with the business community, but including, as a business person, I am a consumer. As you reading the news, after news, you are a consumer. All of us, Ghanaians, are going to suffer in the next quarter. And for the way the city government is doing absolutely nothing to prevent it further depreciation. We were thinking when the second tranche of IMF was coming in, the $600 million, when the $300 million come from the World Bank, when the $900 million come from these were coming to pushing the business community, pushing the further depreciation. But unfortunately, the government have put all this money, yet we are seeing further depreciation. As we speak now, a dollar is going for 14.80. What it means is that any business person who negotiated with their suppliers early last year, November, December, January, October, November, December, promised a supplier that country currency, maybe plus or minus, will go less than 2.5, and you've come and you're prices around maybe 12, 50 pesos, knowing that at least the dollar will go between 10.5 to 15 per supplier. Fortunately, less than 3 months, the dollar has moved to 14.80. What it means is that if you were making sales and putting your cedi, anticipating that after you finish it before you then convert to the dollar, you have made so much loss and you won't even be able to pay your supplier. And so it's becoming a challenge. So if you are not increasing your prices in daily basis and in hourly basis, then you cannot be in businesses. You will have to go up business completely. And that's the challenge we are facing now.
Samson, what's your plan? Are you also planning to pass on the cost to the consumer?
I mean, government is making the money at the port. If the rate is 14.80, I'm sure government is using between 14.5 and 14.3 at the port in calculating duty. And so you have no choice than to pass it on to the consumer. Absolutely, yes. There's no way any business person would say, I am going to be parachuting. If you're going to do that, then of course your supplier will not supply you again. Because you are going to make losses. They have already made losses.
Samson Asake Awingobit is Executive Director of the Importers and Exporters Association, and he says they would also pass on the cost to the consumer. Meanwhile, the CEO of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors says implementation of the good for oil deal has not been properly done to mitigate the free fall of the cedi as expected. He also says it's unfair to expect all bulk distribution companies to purchase products from the bulk oil storage and transportation company BOST as a result of the gold for oil deal. Dr. Patrick Ofori says many BDCs have established structures based on their partnership with international oil distributors and banks, facilitating their business operations and do not at all costs have to deal with BOST.
In technical terms, we are not against it, but we are against the way the implementation has been skewed in favor of public entities. So what we're saying is, BOG has done remarkably well when they came in with that forest auction. So all that we're advocating for is that you already have an existing relationship with us and our banks. So all that we also require, even if you don't trust us, that you don't regulate us, at least you regulate the financial institution. Let's cede our cedis to the financial institution. Let them onwards pass it on to Bank of Ghana. And like they manage with the auction, they also use that to procure the gold, and then the resultant forest will be accumulated to us. Our bone of contention has been, yes, we understand the strategic importance of BOST, but none of us set out our businesses with BOST as a middleman. All of us set out our businesses because we've built a track record of having wonderful relationship with these international players. Dr. Suleiman made a point. For 10 years since TOR has not been in existence, for those years, some years back, that BOST was not even able to pay its own debt. The private sector kept the market going. So what has changed? That all of a sudden, they are seen as the black sheep. The sad aspect of it is that because the BDCs are predominantly owned by Ghanaians, we are skipping them to enroll another entity that is a private sector.
Wait, which entity is that? Which entity is that?
Thank you. Yeah. Why should we be interested so much in ensuring that the Sentio crude, they get the forest to do that?
Well, he's saying that it's gold for oil, right? So they're giving them
for crude. So what we are saying is the remaining 60%, that is also oil that are being imported, also require a total gold for oil cover for that private sector. That is basically what we are.
So that's what you're asking for. In other words, government should expand this beyond the 40%.
Expand it. To expand it to cover everybody. And then also, I'll even make a further proposition that if we also believe that other variables are part of what is currently going on, like you've made mention of the IPPs and then ECG buying fuels. What prevents the central bank? At least ECG is also more or less controlled by government.